Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive to help you learn English. Today we're going to be talking about pets and
Yeah,
some really helpful phrases you can use when you're talking about your furry friends.
that's right.
And I'm so excited to have our expert here to help us break it all down.
Absolutely.
So let's jump right in. We've got a great dialogue between two friends, Alex and Ella,
Uh-huh.
who are chatting about their dogs, and it's packed with everyday words and expressions that you can totally use in your own conversations.
For sure.
I'm going to be Alex, and our expert will be Ella, and we're just going to jump right into the dialogue.
Sounds good.
Okay, here we go. Hey, Ella, your new puppy is so cute.
Thanks.
He's got so much energy. How do you take care of him?
Oh, it's a lot of work. I have to feed him and walk him at the same time every day.
Wow, does he get adequate exercise?
Yeah, I take him to the park twice a day, and he just loves playing with all the other dogs.
That's great. So have you started training him yet?
Yes, he actually goes to school for puppies. And the trainer says he's a really fast learner.
That's awesome. Does he have any problems?
Well, sometimes he doesn't listen, but we're working on it.
All right, that's great. Now let's break down some of the key words and phrases from that conversation.
Okay, sounds good.
I think we should start with the word adequate,
Okay.
which Ella used when she was asking about the puppy's exercise.
Right. So adequate just means enough or sufficient.
Okay.
So when Ella asked, does he get adequate exercise? She was basically just checking if he's getting enough exercise to be healthy.
Got it. And can you use that in other situations as well?
Yeah. Absolutely. Like if you're talking about sleep, you could say, I got adequate sleep last night.
Right.
Or make sure you have adequate food for the camping trip.
I like that. Kind of make you sound a little bit smarter.
A little bit.
Okay, so what's another word we should focus on?
How about sociable?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Alex used that to describe Ella's puppy.
Right.
He said that he likes to play with other dogs at the park. So
Mm.
sociable means friendly.
Right. Yes, exactly. Sociable basically means you enjoy being around other people or animals.
Okay.
So you're not shy or scared. You like to be social.
I feel like that's super important for dogs, especially if they're going to be around other dogs or people a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
So just to recap, sociable means friendly and enjoys being around others.
Exactly.
Awesome. Okay, what else?
Well, Alex asked Ella if she'd started training her puppy.
Oh, yeah. And she said he goes to like school for puppies.
I know, it's so cute.
I love that.
But they're actually talking about obedience training.
Obedience training, what does that mean?
Yeah, so obedience means following the rules or doing what you're told.
Okay.
And it's super important for dogs.
Uh-huh.
So obedience training is basically teaching them to follow commands like sit or stay
Yeah.
or come.
It sounds like it could be pretty challenging.
It can be, yeah, but it's really rewarding.
So it's really important for dogs to learn obedience so that they can be safe and happy.
Exactly. And it makes your life easier too as an owner.
For sure. So just to recap, obedience is all about following the rules, and obedience training is how we teach dogs to be good.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So far we've learned adequate, sociable, and obedience.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some really useful words for talking about pets.
Yeah, they are.
And I think it's time to take a look at some of the phrases.
Yeah, let's do that.
I feel like there were some really great ones in this dialogue.
There were a lot.
Yeah.
Let's start with that very first question that Alex asked Ella. How do you take care of him?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. It's like a really natural way to start a conversation with someone who has a new pet.
Exactly. You're showing that you're interested in their pet and you want to learn more about how to care for them.
It's definitely a lot better than just saying, oh, that's a cute puppy.
Right. So next time you want to know more about how someone takes care of their pet, just remember that phrase.
Okay, so how do you take care of him? Or how do you take care of her?
Exactly.
Got it. That's
Yeah.
another one.
Okay, well, Ella said something really important about her routine with the puppy.
Okay.
She said, I need to give him food and walk him at the same time every day.
Oh, so she's talking about having a schedule for him.
Yeah, she's maintaining a strict routine.
A strict routine, what does that mean?
Well, strict basically means that she doesn't change the times.
Oh.
She's very careful about following the schedule.
Okay. I bet that helps the puppy learn good habits.
Yeah, definitely. And it probably makes Ella's life a little bit easier, too.
So having a routine is really important for pet care.
Yeah, it is. And it's not just for puppies either. You know,
Right.
cats, birds, all sorts of pets.
It makes a lot of sense. So maintain a strict routine means to follow a schedule carefully.
Yes, exactly. And you can use this phrase in other areas of your life too, like maybe your work schedule or if
Oh,
you're a student.
or study schedule.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
What else? Well, Alex also asked Ella if her puppy had any problems.
Oh, yeah.
And Ella said, sometimes he doesn't listen. Meaning, they're trying to teach him to listen.
So they're kind of dealing with some behavioral issues.
Exactly.
What are behavioral issues?
Behavioral issues are just problems with a pet's behavior.
Oh, okay.
So it could be things like chewing on furniture,
Right.
barking too much,
Wow.
or not listening.
I feel like it's super important to try and address those issues early on.
Yeah, for sure. It can save you a lot of headaches in the long run.
So behavioral issues is a really useful phrase to know when you're talking about problems with your pet's behavior.
Absolutely.
Wow, we learned so much from just one short dialogue.
I know, right?
It's amazing how much you can learn just by listening to these everyday conversations.
It is, and it's a lot more fun than just studying textbooks.
Totally. And I think it's time to review some of the words and phrases that we've learned.
Okay, sounds good. Are you ready for a little quiz?
I think so. Hit me with it.
Okay, first up we have adequate. Remember what adequate means.
Adequate means enough or sufficient, like adequate exercise,
Exactly.
or adequate sleep.
Yes. Okay, next we have sociable.
Okay, sociable.
What does sociable mean?
Sociable means friendly and enjoys being around other people or animals,
Great job.
like a sociable puppy.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, last one. Obedience.
Obedience.
What does obedience mean?
Obedience means following the rules or doing what you're told,
You got it.
like obedience training for dogs.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Now let's move on to those phrases.
Okay.
Remember that first question that Alex asked Ella? How do you ask someone how they take care of their pet?
Oh, yeah. How do you take care of him, or how do you take care of her?
Perfect. And how about talking about following a schedule very carefully?
Maintain a strict routine.
Yes. And finally, how do you talk about problems with a pet's behavior?
Behavioral issues.
You got it. You did a great job.
Thank you. I'm feeling a lot more confident now talking about pets in English.
That's awesome to hear. And hey, if you're enjoying this deep dive, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button.
Yes. We'd love to have you join us for our future episodes.
We'll be back with a lot more tips and fun dialogues to help you on your English learning journey.
Absolutely.
It's pretty amazing how much we can learn about language from a simple conversation about pets.
I know, right? It's like we're secretly learning English
Yeah.
while talking about dogs.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes it so effective and fun.
Yeah.
We're not just like memorizing words and grammar rules.
Right.
We're actually seeing how the language is used in real life situations.
Absolutely. And the more we practice,
Yeah.
the more natural it's going to become.
For sure. Speaking of practice, I think it would be helpful to go back and review those key words and phrases one more time.
Okay.
Repetition is key, when you're learning a new language.
Absolutely.
So let's start with adequate.
Okay.
Do you remember what adequate means?
Of course. Adequate means enough or sufficient.
Great.
Like when Ella asked, does he get adequate exercise? She wanted to know if he was getting enough to stay healthy.
Exactly. And remember, you can use adequate in other situations too, like talking about sleep, food, or resources.
Right.
All right, adequate checked. Now, what about sociable?
Okay, sociable.
Yeah. So sociable describes someone who enjoys being around other people or animals.
Right.
They like to be social.
Right. Just like Ella's puppy.
Yes.
He loves playing with all the other dogs at the park.
Yeah, he's a very sociable pup.
Yes.
So just remember, sociable means friendly
Okay.
and enjoys company.
All right, sociable checked. Now, what about obedience?
Obedience. Yeah, that was a big one.
It was.
So obedience means following the rules or
Okay.
doing what you're told, which
Wow.
is really important when you're training pets.
Right.
Like when Alex asked Ella if she started obedience training with her puppy,
Yeah.
he was asking if she was teaching him to follow commands.
Exactly.
So obedience training is all about teaching pets to behave well
Uh-huh.
and listen to their owners.
And that's really important for everyone's safety and happiness.
Exactly. Obedience checked. Now let's move on to those awesome phrases.
Okay.
Do you remember that very first question that Alex asked Ella?
How do you take care of him?
Yes.
That's such a great way to start a conversation with someone who has a pet.
Right. It shows that you're interested in their pet.
Yeah.
So remember, if you want to learn more about how someone cares for their pet, you can just use that phrase, how do you take care of him? Or how do you take care of her?
Easy peasy.
Exactly. What was that next phrase that stood out to you?
Oh, it was when Ella talked about having a schedule for her puppy.
Yes, she said, I need to give him food and walk him at the same time every day.
She's all about that strict routine.
I know, right? So maintain a strict routine just means to follow a schedule very carefully.
Uh-huh. Like having a timetable for your pet.
Yeah.
Feeding time, walking time, playtime.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And remember, a routine isn't just for pet care.
Right.
It can be helpful for all sorts of things. Okay, so maintain a strict routine. Checked. What about that last phrase we discussed? Behavioral issues.
Oh, yeah. Behavioral issues.
Remember Alex asked Ella if her puppy had any problems, and she mentioned that he sometimes doesn't listen?
Right.
So behavioral issues are basically just those little challenges that can sometimes come with having a pet.
And it's a nice way to talk about problems with your pet's behavior.
Exactly.
All right. Behavioral issues checked.
You got it.
Wow, we've really covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah, we have.
I feel so much more confident using these words and phrases now
That's awesome.
when I talk about pets in English.
I'm glad to hear that. And you know what? I think it's time to take things to the next level.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
I think it would be helpful to see how all these words and phrases work
Yeah.
together in a longer conversation.
That's a great idea, like putting all the pieces of the puzzle together.
Exactly. So to make things more fun, let's imagine that you're at the park with your dog
Okay.
and you meet someone new who also has a dog.
Okay, I can picture it.
All right, cool. So you see their dog running around and you're really impressed by how well behaved he is.
Yeah.
What could you say?
I could say something like, wow, your dog is so well trained. How do you manage to keep him so obedient?
Perfect.
Like, I'm really impressed.
Yeah, you use the phrase, how do you manage to,
Uh-huh.
which shows that you're impressed and you're curious about their methods.
Right.
And you snuck in the word obedient as well
I did.
to describe the dog's behavior.
That's awesome.
You're already putting those words into practice. Now imagine they tell you that they maintain a strict routine with their dog.
Okay.
How could you respond?
I could say something like, that makes a lot of sense. I've been trying to maintain a strict routine with my dog, too. It's definitely challenging, but I think it's helpful.
Perfect. You acknowledged their statement. You shared your own experience.
Yeah.
And you used the phrase, maintain a strict routine correctly. You're on a roll.
I know this is fun.
Yeah.
I'm really starting to see how these phrases can be used in so many different ways.
Exactly. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become.
Awesome.
Now let's try one more scenario. Okay. Imagine their dog starts chewing on your dog's leash.
Oh, no.
What would you say?
Well, first I'd try to redirect their attention.
Yeah.
And then I would say, he's still a puppy and we're working on some behavioral issues.
That's a great way to handle it. You acknowledge the issue,
Yeah.
you explain that it's a work in progress, and you use the phrase behavioral issues appropriately.
I'm feeling so much more confident already.
That's awesome. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
It's amazing how much progress we can make with just a little practice and guidance.
It really is.
And the best part is we can continue this practice anywhere.
Yeah.
Just by paying attention to the conversations around us, picking up new words and phrases
Right.
and trying to use them ourselves.
Absolutely. It's like having a free English lesson every single day.
Exactly. I think it's time for us to take a little break.
Okay.
Let our listeners absorb all this great information.
Sounds good.
But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back
Yeah?
to wrap things up and leave you with some final thoughts to ponder.
All right, sounds good. We're back, ready to finish our deep dive into talking about pets in English.
Yeah. I feel like we've learned so much.
Me too.
Mm.
We've explored some useful words and phrases and even practiced using them.
Yeah.
But before we go, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay. What do you have in mind?
Well, we've been talking about these words and phrases in the context of pets, but I think they could be used in so many other situations too.
Absolutely. It's all about recognizing the concept, and applying it to different areas of life.
Exactly. Like adequate. We used it to talk about exercise for puppies, but you could use it to talk about sleep or food
Yeah.
or even studying for a test.
Right. If you say, I got adequate sleep last night, it just means you got enough sleep
Right.
to feel rested.
And sociable isn't just about being friendly with dogs.
Right.
You can use it to describe people too.
Uh-huh. Like if you say someone is sociable, it means they enjoy being around others. Right. And they're good at making conversation.
Exactly. And what about obedience? We talked about it with training dogs, but it's also important in other areas of life.
Absolutely. Like at school or work.
Yeah.
There are rules we need to follow to be successful.
That's true. Even in relationships,
Yep.
there's a certain level of obedience involved,
Right.
like respecting boundaries,
Yeah.
being considerate of others.
You're right. It's fascinating how these words can have different meanings depending on the context.
I know it is. And I think that's what makes learning a language so interesting.
Sure.
It's like a puzzle
Yeah.
where all the pieces can fit together in different ways.
I love that analogy. And those phrases we learned, those can be adapted to so many situations too.
Like, how do you manage to, you could use that to ask someone how they manage their time.
Right.
How they stay organized.
Yeah.
How they cook such delicious meals.
Exactly. And maintain a strict routine. That's not just for pets.
Right.
You could talk about your workout schedule or
Your study routine.
Yeah.
Behavioral issues.
Yeah.
I mean, that could apply to humans as well.
It's true. We all have those moments where we need to work on our behavior.
Right. So I think the takeaway here is that language is flexible.
Yeah.
And adaptable.
Uh-huh.
The more we learn, the more we can connect the dots.
Yeah.
And see how everything fits together.
I love that. And remember, the best way to learn is to just keep practicing.
Absolutely.
Use these words,
Yeah.
these phrases. The more you use them, the more natural they will become.
So keep listening to conversations.
Yeah.
Reading books.
Watching movies.
Yeah. And most importantly, try to use what you learn in your everyday life.
Exactly. Make English a part of who you are.
If you enjoyed this deep dive and you want to keep learning with us,
Yeah.
be sure to subscribe to our channel and give us a like.
Yeah, we'd love to have you.
We'll be back with more fun and informative episodes.
That's right.
So stay tuned and happy learning.
See you next time.
Thanks for joining the conversation here at Kaz English. We hope you found it fun and informative. Don't forget to check out kazapp.uk. That's kazapp.uk for more tips, resources, and interactive practice. Keep exploring, keep chatting, and we'll catch up with you again soon.